Good morning. This is my personal little warm-up that I do every morning. Not here in the studio. I come in and I use the apparatus, but I do this at home. I have my cup of tea, and then I just give myself 10 minutes, sometimes more, but this is the basis of where everything starts in my day. So I come onto my mat, I sit with my spine nice and tall, I take a few conscious breaths. Inhaling for a count of 4 or 5, and exhaling fully for a count of 4 or 5. And just allowing for the spine to lift and be nice and upright. So I feel the energy above me and I feel the energy below me. And I close my eyes and I take some conscious breaths. Breathing in love and light, and breathing out anything that perhaps I don't want to bring into this day that doesn't serve me. And in the morning, it is a good idea to come in and practice this little, what I would call a moving meditation. And sometimes I do the whole thing with my eyes closed, but you don't have to. And just placing the hands onto the knees, start to stir the spine around in a circle. So always with the morning practice, there's a softening, there's a listening, there's a bit of patience. Reverse the circle. There's a bit of kindness, but actually there's a bit of dedication to spend the first part of my day focusing on my body and my movement. And every day is different. Every day is a different story. And then coming back to somewhere in the middle. Then bringing the arms out to the side, some lovely bit of lateral movement, side bending. And I'm not precious about it. I'm not worried too much about it. What I am doing is feeling and listening. So after a few of those, I might take it into a bit of rotation, opposite hand to knee, look right back behind me. And then turning around the other way. And again. Not overturning, not being over strenuous about it. Just checking in there with the rotation. Coming back to center. Then bringing and interlacing the hands in front of you. Just round your spine, your upper spine off there. Just stretch out through the shoulders. And then lift your spine, press your palms forwards and reach your arms up toward the ceiling. Tighten the abdominals. Push upwards. Say good morning. And then release your arms out to the side, interlace your fingers behind you, stretch your arms, stretch your shoulders, widen your collarbones, lift your chest. And then from here, you can always just dive forward a little bit, taking the arms up and over, just slightly there, up and over the head. And then gently bringing yourself back up to upright, releasing the arms. And just take a nice big deep breath in. Exhale fully. One more, inhaling. Scoop up all that lovely energy of the day. Exhaling, and you're surrounded by that lovely energy. In my life, in my world anyway, hopefully. Then you're going to roll over onto the knees and you come to 4-point kneeling. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, take a cat stretch. So starting to find some extension and flexion in your spine. Again, don't be too precious about it. Don't be too precious. It's just waking up, it's just moving consciously with your breath. We'll take one more. Lift your spine to the ceiling. And then lengthen back out. Tuck your toes under, press into your toes, hover your knees just a millimeter from the floor. Pull your abdominals in now. Here comes the centering. Here comes the work through the center. Keeping the head lifted, collarbones wide, front ribs up to back ribs, tummies, 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 and then I take it up into a down dog. So in the morning, I do hold the down dog for 5 to 10 breaths. And sometimes I pedal out, and most of the time I just focus on the breath. So as I'm breathing here, I'm pushing down through the hands, I'm lifting the hips up, but I'm pushing the heels down. Sometimes I give a big sigh out. So really pressing the hands into the mat. Lifting the abdominals right up into the spine. Pressing the heels down. Don't worry if they don't come to the mat, that's okay. Lifting the hips up. And then gently walking your hands in towards your feet. Find your feet. Soften through your knees. And gently roll all the way up to standing. And then from here, inhale, bring your arms up towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers, hands behind the base of your skull. Bend your knees, breathe in. As you breathe out, now a standing cat stretch. We go down, we scoop and we roll. The elbows graze past the knees and you take the head down. Open out the back of the legs a little bit, have a little wiggle, breathe in, let the head go, bend the knees and roll back up. Tailbone action and abdominals lift you. Here you can breathe in and look up, slight back bend, tummy's in. And then exhaling, knees soft, tailbone action, roll back down again nice and slowly. Dropping the head down, breathe in, breathe out. Sometimes I get a little bit lost in this movement. Yeah, especially if you connect it with your breath. It becomes a really lovely flowing, cascading movement. Coming up to standing there, reaching your arms up, pressing your arms down. Come forward and just come into a little bit more of a turned out, wider position, and then come into a lovely squat. If you need to take your feet a little bit wider, then please do. You can have your hands out here. Sometimes I give a little bit of rotation, but mostly I would be here, hands to prayer, and breathing a 10 breath cycle. So lovely to be able to work into the ankle joints here, work into the deep hip joints. Good place to practice the pelvic floor. Sometimes I shift forwards and back, but mostly I stay still and breathe. And then once I've done 8 to 10 breaths, I release back down onto the floor. And the last two things I do, bend the right knee up, give it a good hug in, and then take your right hand behind you and just take your rotation. Left leg is active, flexed, just looking over the right shoulder. Breathe. And then coming back to center and just changing over onto the other side. And again, I don't overdo it. I'm not really thinking how perfect it is. I'm just moving and noticing patterns in the body. And primarily just breathing through it. And bringing your legs out front, and we're just going to take a tabletop. So bring your hands back behind you, press your feet hip width apart into the mat, and then just lift up into your reverse tabletop here. Do like to kind of take 10 breaths here. It's kind of brings some fire into the shoulders, into the seat. Eyes focusing on the high diagonal. Tummy's drawing in. Breathing here. Let's take one more round or two more rounds of breath here. And then just lower everything down with control. And then just finally, just coming onto the back here, bringing the arms out to T-shape, allowing the knees to drop to one side, inhaling, exhaling center, and inhaling to the left, exhaling center. So just finishing with a little bit of rotation, very gently, center and left. And again, sometimes, I kind of will allow the knees just to come to the floor and hold and breathe. There's no right or wrong to it, really. And the more in tune you are with your body, the more it will tell you what you need. And that's the invitation, really. The invitation is to carve out some time in your day, preferably in the morning, but you could have a little evening routine. But for me, it's the morning because it sets my story for the rest of the day. And if you could commit to a 10 to 15 minute practice in the morning, that's all it really needs to be, and commit to it on a daily basis, it sets your day up to be, you're winning already. You're winning already. And then maybe you say, right, I'm going to add in, I'm going to drink a pint of water before I leave the house. That might be something that I do every morning. But just these little routines they allow you to become focused and grounded, and they're your go-to, they're your time, and it's precious, and we are incredibly lucky to have a body to move in, a vessel that takes us places. And I always think when I'm moving, when I come into the studio, we are so incredibly lucky to have this body, to be able to move this body, and we are here for a fleeting moment, really. Life goes by very quickly. So look after this one precious vessel, because it's all we've really got. So I encourage you now for the day, maybe come back to that conscious breath when you can. Stop in your day, take a breath in, slow, breathe in light and love, and then exhale. Anything that doesn't deserve, anything that just you don't need, get rid of it. That email, that comment, whatever it is. Just stop and be focused and grounded. And that's what my practice gives me. It gives me some structure, and it allows me to be a conscious human being. And that's important.